Now, typically when working with slabs, we're working with things about 1/4 of an inch or even thinner. But another way of working with slabs is to cut a really thick slab and then carve into it. To do this, first you want to be sure that you're cutting your slab off of the block in a parallel direction to the way that it was pugged. Remember, a pug mill will introduce a spiral into the inside of your clay block in the direction that the clay was introduced to the bag. So basically, turn the clay bag on its side and slice a chunk of clay off of the block in that direction. That is going to minimize the chance of your solid slab cracking. I like to use the wire tool for most of my initial cuts because it is the smoothest and easiest to control of all the tools. I also really like the texture that it lends to the surface, so I'm going to go around and slice off all of the other textures from this block, so I'm starting with all of the surfaces having the same wire cut texture. Now I'm going to switch to my loop tool or trimming tool. You may also consider using a thick wire like a coat hanger if you want to bend a custom shape. When cutting through really soft clay like this, these sharp trimming tools actually are hard to control because the bevel that gives them the sharp edge will sometimes grab and pull the tool in an unexpected direction. So this is a good chance to use a fully round wire loop tool or to make your own custom one with the coat hanger. Whatever tool you use, the first steps is just going to be hollowing out the main form that you wish to make. I'm going to make a little rectangular tray here, so I'm just going to scoop out all of the clay in the center, leaving about 1/4 of an inch thickness on the walls. You could make any other form you want though, even a multi-chambered piece if you wish. The only really important thing is to not cut through the wall, so I'm going to be careful to leave at least that 1/4 of an inch, because we can go back and thin this out even further after it dries a little bit. Now I'm going to use the cheese cutter to add a bevel to this upper edge. If you don't have a cheese cutter, all it is a wire tool on a frame, so you could do this freehand using your wire tool. Now I've beveled the outer edges as well, and I've removed enough clay for now, so I'm going to let it set up into a softer leather hard before I flip it over and address the foot. Working on a piece of foam is really nice because this is still a relatively soft stage of drying, and the foam protects it from denting that beveled edge that I just worked on. It is a little bit stiffer, but the bottom is still quite soft, and my trimming tool is cutting through it really nicely still. What I need to do on the base is just define the foot and remove enough clay that it lifts up off the table. I don't really want it to sit flat because it could warp in the kiln, and it just doesn't look as interesting if it's just sitting flat on the table. So I'm trying to create these deep bevels that will have a shadow underneath as I'm looking at it from when it's right side up. And that will give it the appearance of it kind of floating a little bit off the table. Now, I like the bold facets, the kind of clear cuts as the design for the surface, but I'm still feeling like this tray is a little too heavy for what I'd like. So I'm going to go in with the wire tool or the cheese cutter and just continue to remove a little bit of clay off of the bottom. As long as I don't touch the four corners, the feet, they should remain in the same plane that they were when I started, so they should sit flat on the table. If they get distorted somehow, I can always fix that by tapping it gently on the table before it dries. All the little kernels of clay that stick to the trimming tool have the potential to streak or texture the surface, which I don't really want. So I'm going to clean the tool after each pass. Now I'm deciding to take a little bit more clay off of each of the 4 feet just to lighten the tray a little bit. Carving a solid slab is a great way to achieve a faceted form and work in a reductive manner.